Hi everyone, Merry Christmas. I hope you're all like getting ready and safe and all the stuff that everyone keeps saying at the moment. Um, I thought that I would do this like pre-recorded Parlour Games as a little gift to everyone and a little bit of a roundup for the year. Um, and it's kind of in lieu of us not having a Christmas party this year as well. So for those of you that are local to the Photo Parlour, I'd usually have a Christmas party, which would be a bit boozy, and we'd also, me and the wonderful Lee Walker would no doubt be DJing as well. Um, and we've not been able to do that this year because yet again COVID's kind of messed everything up for everyone. So yeah, I hope that this is okay, and I hope that you're all safe and well. And I thought what might be good is to have this like Christmas Parlour Games roundup. And what's sort of encouraged me to do this, and these people won't know this, but it was a couple of comments from two of my friends that are also people that I work with or people that use this place. One is Lewis Young, who is at L3W underscore on here. And the other is Jagdish Patel, who I run the off-centre community interest company with, and we run the photography festival. And they both made comments, Lewis a couple of days ago in an audio message, and Jagdish just generally over the last 6 months, about this concept that photography as we know it has stagnated. And I think the point that they're getting at is that, I mean, Lewis explained it quite well, is that, when we look at inspiration from photographers, and when I teach photography in university, I'm guilty of this, I always go back to the same protagonists that are the influence for most contemporary photographers. I'm not going to like go into names, but I've definitely talked about these people a lot before, and they're a massive influence on me. And Jagdish has talked about the sort of socio-economic aspects of like being able to access photography, both in terms of like your background, in terms of where you sit within the financial pecking order, and also where you're from, and even the colour of your skin, or whether you're or what gender you are, and all that kind of stuff. And I started thinking a lot about this concept that photography has stagnated, and it made me think that there are potentially ways of getting around this stagnation in terms of pushing ourselves a little bit to work out of our comfort zone and fighting against the current trends, sort of fashion trends in photography. So there's four kind of things that I want to talk about, and I'm just going to throw them out there now, and then I'm going to show some work. Some of it is the same work I've shown before, still the same old photographers, but I think that some of them apply quite nicely to this concept, or the concepts that I'm about to talk about. They're things that I've spoken about loads in the past, but like I said, this is a roundup. I just want to kind of solidify the things that I've spoken about before for what it's worth. Number one, play. The concept of play as a creative person. We don't have to take this too seriously. Just enjoy making work. Doesn't have to be an end goal. There doesn't have to be a concept. Usually all of that stuff comes out of just playing. And for me as a photographer anyway, most of the concepts for the work that I make come out of me just mucking around to begin with, and then eventually something will come out of it. I think in addition to that, for me, something that really helps is this idea of sequencing work, which is something we've talked about before. I'm just going to grab another book. One I've shown before, but I'll show it you anyway. This idea of sequencing images, so thinking about more than one picture, pictures that go together. This idea of responding with your gut that I talk about, that like like I've said before, there's that little devil on your shoulder saying, "Nah, don't bother taking it. It's not worth it." Ignore that idiot and make the picture. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's kind of like the whole kind of if you don't ask, you don't get. You know, if you don't do it, then you'll never know. So do it. Just take the risk, take the leap. What kind of brings us on further from that is this constant obsession with photography equipment. Don't get me wrong, I'm a total nerd about this as much as the next photography person, film camera, digital, whatever. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you're using. If you're using some expensive point and shoot, or your camera phone, or some snazzy medium format camera, or some enormous large format camera where it takes you an hour to make the work. I think like there's two sides to this. It's like use the thing that works to make the work that you want to make, but don't let it get in the way of those two principles, play and responding to your gut. So don't worry too much about the gear, just use whatever. I use my camera phone most, actually, and I run a film processing lab, it's ridiculous, but I use it all the time to make these little like instinctual pictures. When I'm making big bodies of work where I want to make prints or I want to make something physical and I want to play in the darkroom, I usually use film because that's my, for want of a popular word at the moment, my workflow. I never use that word, really. Sorry, everyone. But yeah, I like to make prints in the darkroom and I like to play in the darkroom and sculpt light with my hands. So I think it's important to use the right gear, but just don't worry about it too much. It doesn't matter. The last thing I want to sort of say, or the last point I want to make, is to seek out photographers outside of your bubble. The work that you usually look at, the type of work that you usually look at. Find something completely different. Look at photographers from, I don't know, North Africa. Look at photographers from South America. Look at photographers that, I don't know, come from very different environments to your own, because I think that Western photography, as Lewis and Jagdish both said, has kind of stagnated. So let's try and like think outside of the box a bit. On that subject, I'm going to show you a load of work I've shown you before, but I think like, first of all, Julia Margaret Cameron, like, Jesus, 1815 to 1879, a woman in that era making pictures, and not only that, but like, her pictures show this like element of play, like they're not perfect, they're not sharp, they're made relatively quickly. There's all this craziness going on. I think she just made this stuff because she was enjoying making it and for no other reason, and responding to other outside influences. But, good Lord, just beautiful. And how could she not be playing at this point? Photography's sort of still in its infancy, you know? Just mad. So, even that, look at that. So cool. So just play around. Doesn't matter. I get the impression that that's what Julia Margaret Cameron was doing, just enjoying making pictures. Talking about the idea of like sequencing, I've shown you this before. So this is by Ed Templeton and Deanna Templeton, Contemporary Suburbia. What I love about this book is that it's a lovely concertina, and the sequence is quite nice. You get these like continuing images, pictures next to each other that work together. The other nice thing is that as you get through Ed's book, once you finish and you close it, Deanna's book starts, and all of her beautiful pictures are on the other side. So it's like this, almost like a feedback loop of beautifully sequenced photographs. But again, this is born out of play. You know, these guys are making pictures all the time. They're husband and wife, so they're obviously looking at each other's work all the time, and they complement each other very well. both using very simple to use cameras, 35mm, nothing too special. And then they're playing by sticking these things on a wall and seeing where the prints work together. They're printing in the darkroom and playing, you know? But that's the only reason they're making the work, documenting a time and a place and playing. It's amazing. The idea of responding to your gut, again, I can't not show her work. Phoebe Keeley, these were my landscape. These just absolutely stunning photographs, just responding to the world around her. These are as much self-portraits as they are photographs of the environment that is around Phoebe. Just beautiful. Really simple. Just responding to that feeling in her gut and making these pictures, you know? Really, really nice. If you don't make these pictures, you'll never know. How many times have you sat on a bus or a train, seen the reflection of the person in front of you and thought, I won't bother? It's amazing. Respond to that feeling in your gut. Another perfect example of that is this. I don't think I've shown this before. So this is a photography book by John Dwyer, who's a musician. He's in a band called The OCs, runs a label called Castleface. And again, these are just these like sort of responses to the world. Colour and black and white. Just, I think he's using like a Holger or something, like a toy camera that takes film and just responding to the world around him. There he is. I'd like to do an interview with John Dwyer. I'm going to get in touch with him. Just amazing though. So that's Vinegar Mirror by John Dwyer. In the same vein, I've shown this before, David O'Mara, If You Can Piss. All taken on a little point and shoot. Really kind of grotty. Reminds me of working on building sites, which I did a lot of. I mean, so much. I can smell this kind of like damp house that they're renovating. I remember doing this stuff. I remember stacking sofas up like that. You know, when you're clearing houses. Just amazing. So that's If You Can Piss by David O'Mara. Patti Smith, camera solo. All black and white Polaroids, just photographing the world around her. I'm not saying that all of you should be just photographing the world around you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, like, some of this stuff doesn't necessarily fall into the standard conventions that we teach in university. Some of it does. God, beautiful. Little Polaroid camera, nothing else. Point and shoot, effectively. Not too worried about the gear, but always using the same thing. Just stick to one thing. Get used to it, get familiar with it. Emmett Gowan. This book. The reason I like showing this, and I'm not going to show the kind of perfect, oh, I might show one. God, look at that. How beautiful is that? What I really like are these. Edith, Christmas, Danville, Virginia, 1971. You notice how the edges fall off? That's because he's just smashed the wrong lens on the wrong camera, and it doesn't have the angle of view to cover the whole negative. But it works, right? Doesn't matter that it's not the right gear. With this crazy wide lens as well. God, beautiful. And it going. So just to reiterate, play. Respond to your gut. Stop worrying so much about the equipment and just think more about the pictures that you're making. And try to look for work outside of your bubble, you know? Don't keep looking at the same stuff, because it just, where do you go from there? Now, look, obviously, what do I know? But I just thought that I'd share a few of the points that we've made over the last, God, how long we've been doing this now? Since the beginning of COVID? It's mad. Good luck, guys. Hashtag everything with Photo Parlour or Parlour Games, and I'll share it. The last thing I want to say, and this is really, really important, so listen up. I want to say an enormous thank you to everyone that is watching this, that has helped me over this year, to everyone that I've come in contact with, to people that have dropped film in once, to people that have been using the darkroom all year, to people that are trying to book in even though we can't have people in at the moment. Just like, thank you. This place would not be what it is without you. It's been around for 7 years now. I don't know how I've managed to keep it going for 7 years, but it's still here. And it's mainly thanks to you guys, so I really appreciate it. The most important thing for me to say is that thank you isn't a big enough a word, but just the people that helped me here. Nick and Katie, Jesus, this place wouldn't tick over without you. I don't know if you guys know this, but like, I have to do a lot of other work to keep the bills paid here. This place kind of pays for itself, but it doesn't really pay me anything. So Nick and Katie volunteering here, and they're not just like hanging out, they know how to run the processes, they know how to scan film, they're doing so much. They're printing and making contact sheets and things for nothing. They just do it so that they can use the facilities and because we're friends. And I really, really appreciate your help so much. The same goes for like Deb, Mick, Reese, Natasha, Paris, Rowena. Jesus, you guys, you just come in and just keep the wheels greased, keep things ticking over, and jump in whenever I need you or whenever I can't be here. And I just can't thank you all enough for being here and just being here to talk to and to work with and everything else. You guys are just the best people, and I'm very grateful to have you in my life. So thank you. A massive shout out to Joe Wheatley for wrangling me into shape. I'm no businessman, and Joe Wheatley is also an amazing filmmaker, an amazing creative person, and he's just filled in the gaps that I can't fill. So I really appreciate it, Joe. Onwards and upwards, everyone. It's very exciting. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank George Miles. He might not even be expecting a thank you, but George, you have no idea how important you are to me and how much of a difference you've made to this place. And actually, I probably wouldn't be running this place without George. George is one of the fundamental people that helped me get this place in the first place. So I just want to thank you, brother. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of you next year. Okay, I'm done. Merry Christmas, everyone. I love you all very much. And 2022, like, I don't want to say it, but I think it's going to be better. Touch wood. It's going to be better. Okay, I love you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I'll see you soon.